Welcome all of you that have gathered here this evening, as well as those of you that are joining us on social media and YouTube. I'd like at this time to call the meeting to order. Please note that all school board members and the superintendent are present. Before we have a moment of silence, I'd like to share something with you. I don't know how many of you know or not, but Coach Jerry Perry, underwent 5 bypasses today. They were supposed to do 3, and they did 5. And so I texted back and forth with Laura this afternoon and asked her if I could share that with you. So if you want to use that time to lift him up, or whatever time you'd like to use this moment of silence, please do so. It's your good pleasure. Will you join me in a moment of silence? Thank you very much. If you'll stand with me now, join me in the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second? Second the motion. Mr. McQuarrie made the second. All in favor, there be none but lifted hand. All board members were in favor. The agenda is adopted. Next, we come to communications, and under communications, one of our favorite parts of our school board meetings is recognitions.
Thank you, Dr. Browning. If you want to go on around so you can be part of
Yes,
this
sir.
recognition. Our first recognition tonight is Garrard County Schools Danville Office Equipment Support Staff of the Month. This note tonight comes from Principal Liz Irwin. When I walked into Paint Lick the first time, Regina's smile was the first thing that I saw. I walked into the building and was greeted by her warm demeanor and energetic, happy spirit. She ushered me in and I knew I was home. Regina is more than a bookkeeper. She encapsulates the heart and soul of Paint Lick Elementary. She works on so much more than just the books. She makes sure that the school runs efficiently, effectively, and with the students' needs first and foremost in mind. She's always ready to take on anything the staff needs help with in order to make the school better or a child feel loved. Paint Lick is so fortunate to have such a kind-hearted, loving soul who is so passionate about our kids. We'd like to recognize Regina Meadows tonight as the Support Staff Member of the Month.
Oh, yeah. Send it to me in the mail. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Our next recognition is the Whole Lot They Love Teacher of the Month. And our Teacher of the Month is from Camp Dick Robinson. It's Marilyn Fleckenstein. Ms. Fleckenstein is a preschool teacher at CDR. She's the most positive, energetic person that always has a smile on her face. She has unbelievable patience, is a true team player, and always wants to put students first. She's a problem solver and works very hard to figure out what makes the most unique students successful. She's always willing to try new things and excels with technology. CDR is so thankful for her services and the impact she has on the CDR students. We're proud to recognize Ms. Marilyn Fleckenstein as the Teacher of the Month.
Thank you. Got smiley eyes. Thank you so much, guys.
Next is the Garrard County Schools Farmers National Bank Students of the Month. Our first one is from CDR, Hudson Hampton. And we had planned on Hudson being here tonight, and I hope he is joining us virtually. Well, I can't tell from here. So if we can't see him tonight, we'll make sure that we make up for that next month like we've done in another situation today. If he gets on, we'll circle back to him. Our first one then tonight will be a makeup from last month. We had an individual who couldn't participate last month, and we don't ever want to leave the students out. So from last month, from LES, Sophia Wright. Sophia is a fourth grade student at Lancaster Elementary, and Mr. Klusner had this to say. Sophia is a very dedicated student in and outside of the classroom. She's focused, driven, and is always willing to participate in class. She's also very kind and is constantly smiling. She'll assist students around her that may need help in math. When Sophia receives work for enrichment and takes the assignments home, receives the assistance so she is certain she understands the math standards. Her other fourth grade teachers said Sophia is a great listener who's always ready to share her ideas and answers in class. She's a great friend who helps classmates when they need it. She's been a pleasure to have in fourth grade and is a model student. Congratulations to Sophia. And this month from Lancaster Elementary is Jace Underwood.
Woo! Yay! Yay!
Jace is a second grade student at Lancaster Elementary. And this is what the staff had to say about him. We love our Jace. He's come so far in a few years, and he's been with us, and he's probably taught us more than we've taught him. Ms. Markham said Jace is a beloved student at LES by all who know him. He's a shining example of strength, courage, hard work, and perseverance. Jace is a remarkable student who catches your heart and teaches everyone around him how cool it is to be yourself and how to embrace your differences. LES is so proud to have Jace Underwood as our second grade student and as our student of the month. Congratulations.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jace, forgive me, Jace.
here,
Thank you.
here, you
I
can
forgot to give you a sign. This is yours to keep, buddy.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
Cool. I got it.
Our next student of the month is from Paint Lick Elementary, and it's Mallory Denning. We lost another one?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll hold that one and catch that one later too. We knew that Garrard Middle School's student of the month wouldn't be here because she's participating in a volleyball match, so we will catch her next month. Will be fun. Then from the high school, Anna He Ortiz is a junior, and she is currently a lieutenant in the Junior Reserves Officers Training Corps, or the JROTC. This year she coordinated the first 3 color guard ceremonies at 3 different football games and supervised the JROTC push-up club that participated in homecoming. She's a mentor to the underclassmen in our program, and she's bilingual and teaches students who are struggling in Spanish. The high school was proud to recognize Anna He as the student of the month. Congratulations.
We're good. All right, item B on our agenda is site-based decision-making minutes, and I hope everybody's had an opportunity, all of the school board members, to go over those minutes. And this is just there for our information. Item C is audience comments, and we have Michael and Jessica Gaffney. Are you here? You want to speak? Oh, just right up here, anywhere.
You can just go to that table right there if you want.
Okay.
thank you so much for allowing us this time to speak. And so we wanted to kind of bring before the board some concerns that we as parents have had for our child. So Jackson, our oldest, is autistic and has been at Lancaster Elementary since preschool. He has thrived at Lancaster Elementary in the beginning parts of his time there. In the last, year, we have seen behaviors from our son that we have never seen before, and behaviors that we don't see at home. Jackson has become self-injurious at school. He's having a really hard time coping with, it appears to be the classroom. There'll be times that you can tell what sets him off. There'll be times that you can't tell what sets him off. But with Jackson, and I hate for people to think that, he's just not functioning, but Jackson he can read, he can do math, he can do so many things. And I think that we have always been told he's a big joy for the class. But this year has just been such a struggle for him. And so to watch him become this way, we've had several text messages and, different things. Their communication from the teachers to the point that I doubled every medication he's on. So I went to his pediatrician and I said, what can I do? How can I help my baby? And so that he doesn't hurt himself. So I cannot medicate my child to the point of sedation. And I'm sorry. I cannot medicate my child to the point of sedation so that he can get through a day and make it easier. Now, I don't want you all to think this is the first time that I've ever said something about this. For 2 years, at my last IEP meetings, I've asked for help. I have brought it before them and I've said, you need more help. There used to be 3 aides in that room, and he thrived. There are 2 last year and there are 2 this year. And I have seen the exhaustion of those aides. And I've seen him come home that he is just, it's so much. And it is not the school. I need you to know that Lancaster Elementary has supported my child so much. And everybody there tells me how much they love him. He has such a relationship with that staff. But we have got to find a better way to protect these children. I feel like if he had more help, if he had more one-on-one time, that we would not be to this point. I would not have had to double his medications, and I would still not be getting the requests that I'm getting for help or, and so I asked the teacher, have you asked for help? And so there are different times and they tell me that, I asked for it in our IEP meeting. No one contacted me. I've been told that she's asked for help in different things or different ways. And so it's just gotten to the point that we are scared as parents for our kids, in that they need more assistance in this room. They need to have more help.
And this is the first year, I guess, we've kind of realized that used to when we had our IB meetings, a member of administration, either Ms. Bottoms or Mr. Sursick or whoever was in there. And apparently that's not something we do anymore. So none of our wants really got followed up on. And with the behaviors he was exhibiting that he doesn't show at home, it kind of got us wondering, well, what's different in school that's not happening at home? So it just got us thinking, in this whole process, the more his behaviors went, the more texts we got, calls we got. We lost a very good assistant in that classroom, one of the really strong backbones to that classroom. She's now gone, and we can only wonder what caused that. But through all that, it made us think, well, what's going on? I mean, with that classroom specifically. So we did some digging. We know some other parents from some other schools and things like that. So let's find out what's going on in some other classrooms. So, Camp Dick doesn't have an FMD classroom, so their kids get sent to Lancaster Elementary. Because of that, Lancaster Elementary has 7 students with 3 staff members, 1 teacher, 2 assistants. That's a 2.33 ratio. And I've been told by some administration that we can have X number. And honestly, if my kid is self-injurious, I don't really care what your number is. And I'm just being honest, because if my kid is self-injurious, we need to figure out a way to fix that. Especially when I look at other schools like Paint Lick has 2 staff, 4 students. GMS, 4 staff, 4 students. Garrett County High School, 4 staff, 2 students. 17 kids that are in classroom in FMD in our district, and 7 of those are in Lancaster Elementary. So you wonder, why do we have the ratio we have at LES? Why are we sending Camp Dick kids to Lancaster? Why are we sending Lancaster kids to Paint Lick? And I don't know that if you are aware of this, but now you are, and we need to figure out a way to fix it, because our kid will be going to middle school next year, along with a big group, but then there'll be the other kids that come along behind it. And like she said, we love Lancaster Elementary. You know, Miss Bottoms and their staff are wonderful. We've really enjoyed their teachers that are in the classroom. But our fear is that he's going to continue to be self-injurious, hurt another kid, somebody's going to get hurt, something's going to happen. We just need help.
Well, listen, I've just been informed your 5 minutes are up.
Okay.
But I do appreciate you coming and sharing this with us. And I assure you that it's gonna be looked into right next to
We appreciate the information.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Any board members have anything they'd like to share? They're being done, then we come to E, the superintendent, and Mr. Stoll, I think we've got something pretty interesting.
So we got several things for you tonight. First one is information from Josh Gibson regarding active shooter training.
I've never done this kind of thing before, so I'm a little nervous. I'd envisioned doing active shooter training at the schools. I think that, you know, as law enforcement, you know, we're not prepared when and if that day comes. So I feel like that if we can set up a scenario one day, either before school starts or after school starts, with the county and the city, all first responders, EMS, fire, because this day comes, every first responder in the county is going to be responding to that. And we don't want to be running over each other. And, you know, we want to know what's going to happen and how we're going to react to that situation. And I gave Mr. Stoll a quote from a company called UTM, which does simunition rounds, because I want this training to be as realistic and as it can be without live rounds. And what that quote has in it is a conversion kits for 8 patrol rifles, because during an active shooter situation, all law enforcement is going to be using rifles. And that price includes 8 face masks for protection, and it also includes, I think it was 1,800 rounds. So I went to this company because there's no cleanup after the fact. The simunition rounds, they had paint in them, which it's really difficult to clean up afterwards. This stuff, you know, we'd go through and pick the shells up and the cleanup's done. But I think it would be a really, really good investment and a small price for really good beneficial training for all law enforcement.
Any questions for Josh?
I think when I was still working in the sheriff's department, I think they did a survey at the high school to work with the school system then, and I'm not sure, that has been a while ago. It was the last time I was aware of it. They more or less came and did a walkthrough, looked at the school, saw the possible points of interest that they would need to be addressed.
Right.
And points of entry, points of exit.
Right.
And I think they did that. But
Yeah,
I don't
and-
think we've ever had a training session like this, and I
Right.
don't see how it could be anything but beneficial.
I think it
for
would.
everyone.
I think it would be beneficial. You know, I've been in contact with the school safety marshal, Ben Wilcox. He was my firearms instructor when I went through the academy. also with Jason Mike, and he's on the board of KDE. They gave me some real good insight. They're both going to be there if we do get to do this training, just to make sure everything goes right and kind of help me along with coordinating this. The main thing that I want it to be is, absolutely no kids involved, because we don't want to give out our tactics so that everybody knows what we're going to do. Also, teachers, when law enforcement gets there in that situation, teachers should be in the rooms with the door shut. So I don't really think it would be beneficial for them to be there, unless they want to. Anybody that's not in a first responder standing would have to sign a waiver in order to be there, because there could be a chance that they could get hit with a round. We don't want that to happen. Therefore, we'd have to have waivers for them to sign. We also don't want to put teachers in a traumatic situation, because, it's going to be realistic and it could be traumatizing to some people. That's why I want it to be more just for law enforcement, so that we know what we're doing when and if that day comes.
It will be loud.
It will be loud, yeah.
It will be. Is there days of the week or possible time off from when school's not in session that would probably be optimal dates?
I'd like to do it either the day after the last day of school or the day before the first day of school next year. Granted that we can get this.
That might be a little bit of a tight timetable for some of the school activities that are right in the ramping up and getting ready for the first day of school.
Right. And
the last day.
that would be flexible. So if we can get this going, I would be in contact with the school board and, work out a plan and a day that would be suitable for everybody. Of course, when we set the date, it's going to be mandatory for law enforcement. So everybody's going to have to show up. EMS is going to have to show up. Fire departments, they're volunteers. So, they don't have to if they don't want to. It's going to be encouraged.
The majority, if not all, will show up. I can almost guarantee that.
Yes, sir.
A lot of them.
Did I miss, what building would this be built in? Would you say that?
Me and Mr. Stoll talked about it. I was about a month ago, I think. And we would like to do it at the high school first. If it's a success, then we can start going to other schools and practicing in those schools as well.
So you're proposing one time?
Yeah, this is
One
just an
school,
initial
high
investment.
Okay.
So after the fact, these things, the conversion kits, they've got a pretty good warranty on them and they last forever. But the rounds, once those first initial rounds are gone, the county and the city can purchase the rounds after the fact. So if we want to do it the second year, the rounds will be on us. So it would have to come from the county.
I have a question. Are there companies that you could consult with to help you with the planning piece of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that part of what you've asked us for?
Yes,
as
ma'am.
well? Okay.
So UTM is the company that I'd be purchasing all the equipment from.
They provide support to help you with the training?
No, I don't think they do the support, but I'd be working closely with Department of Criminal Justice, with Jason Mike, which is the one I mentioned that's on the KDE. And he's a tactics operations over there, so he's going to help with that. And also Mr. Wilcox would help coordinate this as well.
So I was just thinking, if there's a company that specializes in doing those trainings, is that someone that could help you with preparing for it, in addition to buying the conversion kits and the other resources? Is there something else that you might need to make it a successful?
I'd have to look into that. I don't know if UTM provides that other than just literature on the training. But I think with, I'm a certified firearms instructor. I've been through the active shooter courses at DOCJT. With my training plus, the other people's inputs on that, I think we can have a successful turnout and successful training with that.
Anybody else? Please.
how long would this actually, how many hours or how long of time would it entail as far, because you're talking about the day before school or the day after school, those are tough times. in
Yes,
school,
ma'am.
getting rid of- So how long would it, how much of the day would be taken up with this training?
And the reason I mentioned that, I think Bull County had done this once before, and they done it the day before. I'm not sure how long it would take, because I want to do several scenarios, just to see how everybody's going to react the first time, going in without, just see how they come in, and then have a debriefing and talk about everything, and everybody knows what's going on, and then run it a second time. So I would say probably 4 or 5 hours, probably, give or take, so.
Anybody else? Thank you, Josh.
All right.
Appreciate it. All right, Mr. Stoll, the annual needs assessment updates.
So as part of our requirement for you, we need to do this on an annual basis. And I went over this with most of you on last week, so I won't spend as much time on it as we did the other day. Want to make sure that everybody understands it's accessible. All you have to do is go to the district webpage, go to the board section, pull up any of our information, and you can go in and take a look at this, spend some more time. Nothing that you're going to see tonight is a request for money of any kind. This is just a summary of what was asked as we visited with our schools and with our district staff. We've listed enrollment for you, and we're right at 2632. And as we've indicated previously, it's the highest enrollment the district's ever had. We have our special ed enrollment and preschool enrollment that's attached so that you can see that. And as we did the assessment, the needs assessment, some things that came to light were that we want to make sure that we're working aggressively on vertical and horizontal alignment K-12. That's not something that's always existed in the district. Essential standards that they're being focused on, and that we're making sure there's not a loss of rigor as we're catching students up from last year's experiences. Some of the solutions that were proposed for that are connected to ESSER funds, and that's why you don't see dollars listed next to those. Some of the other requests that you see listed would be things that we would have to find funding for. Again, we're not asking for any of those things at this point. Under student support, we know that social emotional needs, you've heard a little bit of a conversation about that tonight already, is a challenge area, and that behaviors have been impacted through the COVID experience. We've looked at the idea of specials, rotation updates, and then supports for ELs, our English learners. And some of the things that were looked at here were opportunities to perhaps hire a behavior specialist. Again, that would be a financial commitment that we'd be asking for. Support for our Ukrainian students and the language that's going on there, or the language needs that they have there. I will point this out, we just opened a new webpage. If you go to the website, you can change languages on that website to either from English to Spanish or Ukrainian. So it's a nice extra tool that we have available now. Again, none of the things listed are requests. These are things that we feel like we could utilize to support our students. Maybe the largest one on this one, and maybe one of the most important ones, would be the idea of additional counselors. And those counselors might not be school counselors as much as they would be mental health counselors. We're in a different spot than we've ever been in before. And so those dollars are real dollars that we think right now, but where we would pull those from would be work that we would need to do. Playgrounds, actually later tonight, we're going to ask you to approve the playgrounds. We're using ESSER funds for that. So again, it's not an additional bonding or nor is it general fund. We've been looking at this the whole time, and so we've actually got those available for you to look at. Classroom audio systems, it was a request from CDR, and new library furniture from Paint Lake. There are some major projects that need to be undertaken, and most of those we think we find as something that would be part of our bonding issues and the renovation pieces that we would be doing. The biggest of these could be the elementary schools and GEC having interior and exterior locks and hardware updated. You see the other issues that show up at some of our schools and things that we would need to do around that. The bottom one, baseball, softball, handicap accessibility, we're already addressing. So then we put together a cost summary of what this would be if we were to address all of these things, so you can see what those costs would be. And again, a big chunk of those are reoccurring costs. It's not something that we can do a one-time purchase of something and have it there. All of these are things that you look at and you see as people. So to reach that point, we have to do a lot of work on our end before we ever came to you and asked for any of these things. And then the projects, again, we believe the vast majority of those things will fall into our renovation pieces. But something like the scoreboards, we think we can handle that without going to the project pieces. If we were to do a classroom sound enhancement, we've given you the cost per room so that you can see what that is. And then again, the baseball component. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to address those.
Board members have any questions? All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate you sharing that with us. Next, we have a construction update.
So we don't really have an official construction update, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. Number one, you know that we've been working with KDE to try to make sure that we have permission from them to do some things that they're going to say no to everybody else. And we're pretty close. We had hoped to come to you today to ask for a waiver to get us to that spot. We can't yet. I was in conversation with KDE day before yesterday, and the hope had been that we would ask for a waiver today and it would be on the KBE meeting in December. And what they have decided to do is they're going to wait for a response from SFCC. And once they have that, then they'll give their response. The problem is they both have a board meeting on the same day. So because that meeting is going on at one particular time, the board can't address that. So we are not going to be able to request a waiver until the KBE meeting in February. So we'll know what the process looks like. I'm being told that they're very, very positive about what our request is. There are really two schools in the state, or two districts in the state, that they're looking at. I've told you, I think I'll be optimistic until it happens, and then I'll be convinced that it's going to happen. So I'm sharing that tonight because I know that we haven't been able to carry on some conversations because we're waiting to see what KDE tells us. We want to make sure that everybody understands we're working still to make this happen. You all have not established what the expenditures will be and on what projects that those will be yet. And I know that there's a belief that that has already occurred from your all's perspective, and it has not. We will continue to keep you all updated on this, and the public as updated as we can. But as of right now, we can't move forward until we know that we've gotten that waiver. We do have conversations going on with our architectural firm all the time, and we're going to meet at the beginning of December to start talking about specific information so that what they bring to you as proposals have specificity to them. And it's not something where they say, here it is, and then they have to go back and do something else with it. So we'll continue to go down this process. Second thing I wanted to share with you is you all have made decisions in your hiring process for architects and for your construction management team. This afternoon, I didn't know I was going to get this call, but I received a phone call from Trace Creek this afternoon. And Trace Creek had told you that when you all interviewed them, that they wanted to be a part of our community. So they informed me that they will be sending a team here on Monday to visit 17 surrounding Walmart stores. Hang on. Okay. So they're going to visit 17 Walmart stores and pick up 400 turkeys to go to the food bank for Thanksgiving. They're going to coordinate with our high school to help have high school staff help distribute these at the end. So they've made a very definite commitment to our community, and I wanted you all to know about that. So I appreciate them letting us know, allowing us to be a part of that, and for them bringing that support to our community in a challenging time. So very much appreciated by them. So that's your construction update.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That sounds like a good one. Number 4 is personnel changes.
So you all have, you all have those, and you've seen those. That's a monthly thing that we do for you.
All right. Item 3 is reports, and item A is our treasury report. And did all of you get treasury report? Okay.
So I think everybody had a chance to not only see it, but to hear from Stacy last week. I've pulled it up so people in the community can see that as well. You'll notice that just to make sure everybody understands the variance from last year to this year, you're up about $391,000. And again, the majority of that happens because of how we've been able to expend the money through the ESSER dollars that we have. And hopefully we can maintain at this spot moving forward. Your bonding potential has decreased slightly. You're still slightly above $28 million. Again, you can track most of the change based on what's going on with interest rates. We'll continue to provide this on a monthly basis. We appreciate Garrard providing this to you. And then you receive the bills each week, and we have updated those to have them here.
Could I share a little bit about
Certainly.
discussion you and I've had, and I think Brett, we had kind of set, I'm tying this into the bond potential, $20 million is a kind of a cap, but that didn't include soft costs. And I'm thinking if our bonding potential continues to look good, maybe putting, after they give us, you know, okay, these facilities and this and this and this is gonna cost X number of dollars. And if it's over $20 million, maybe to add the soft costs on top of whatever we choose. I want y'all to be thinking about that possibility, if you would. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
All right, item 4 is consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
It's not a very big one this time, is it?
No.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McQuarrie seconded. All in favor, let me know by lift your hand. All board members were in favor. The agenda is adopted. And having, I'm sorry, the consent agenda is adopted. So item 5 is the action agenda.
First item that we have for you tonight is some work that's been done by Ms. Coffey and her staff. And they have asked for your approval on a financial management manual. This is not information that's new to our finance staff, but it could be new to people in the community who may not be aware of some of this. So if you approve this tonight, we'll post it to our website, have it available for anybody who would like to take a look at it. What it does is gives you very clear understanding of what has to happen through the model procurement process. When you take a look at small purchases and what happens to something under $30,000, there's specific things that have to occur. Again, we do these things, but this is just us trying to be a little bit more transparent to make sure that our community fully understands. Our staff can take a look at it and see what the process looks like. Once we go above the 30,000, these are the options that we have available to. So it's just a kind of clear-cut way of doing this. She did a lot of work on this, and she did it at her own thought and felt like it would be a positive thing to bring the transparency and consistency to us. And so my recommendation is that you approve the financial management manual for Garrard County Schools.
And you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Davis made the motion, Mr. Hurt second. And all in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item A is approved. Item B.
Tonight, we make a request of you for a shortened school day for a Garrard Middle School student. This request is based on doctor's advice and on the approval of the student's IEP and the ARC meeting that is held. So it's my recommendation that you approve this shortened school day for this GMS student.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie made the motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Ms. Davis second. I think she beat you just by a little bit.
I'm having the same rhythm.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. Item B is adopted. Item C, Mr. Scully.
Need to request an approval for a shortened school week for a Garrard County High School student. And again, the request is based on medical recommendation, IEP approval. So it's my recommendation that you approve this shortened school week for the Garrard County High School student.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie made the motion. Do I have a second?
Check.
Mr. Hurt second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. It is approved. Item D, Mr. Stoll.
So a few weeks ago, we received information that one of our teachers at the high school was leaving to take a position at KDE, which created a vacancy. The vacancy was advertised. We actually had an applicant who was certified, interviewed, the committee selected her. Once she was made the offer, she rejected the offer, having discovered how far she had to travel to be here. So we were disappointed with that because we thought we were going to have a solution to a situation that we didn't want to have to begin with. However, there were other applicants, again, without certification. The second offer was to an individual who does not have certification, but is working to get into a program, so it will be alternative certified process. Until then, I have to ask for an emergency certification for the Garrard County High School business position, and that's my recommendation to you.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move we accept this emergency certification.
Okay, Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Hurt seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. Item D is approved. Item E, Mr. Stoll.
Schiller Hardware has requested payment in the amount of $3,331.99. It's actually a release of their retention funds for the completion of the Garrard Middle School door project. So I would recommend that we approve pay application number 10 for that project.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Mr. McQuarrie seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. Item E is approved. Item F, Mr. Stoll.
So because we've done that, we can now do the BG4, which begins to tie up this with KDE for us. So my recommendation is that you approve the BG4 for the Garrard Middle School door project.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the BG4?
Make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. Item L is approved. Item G, Mr. Stoll.
As we had shared with you all previously, that we were going to consider only purchasing one bus and using funds from that second bus to upgrade the district fleet. And we've had an opportunity to purchase a new 2022 Sienna LE 8-passenger hybrid van that could be used by anybody in the district, but would be used by our transportation department because they tend to now have more and more students who are being transported in small numbers as opposed to larger numbers. This is expected delivery in December. Daniel has done quite a bit of work for us on this, so it's my recommendation and request of you that you would approve the purchase of the 8-passenger Toyota van.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hart made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Davis seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. Item G is approved. Item H.
Earlier, when we were doing the needs assessment, you saw the idea of a playground construction, and we've been looking into this since the ESSER funds were available. We set some money aside for that. One of the things we tried to do with ESSER funds is to make it something that's sustainable. And this, we believe, is very sustainable. The estimate is it's probably a 20 to 25 year project that will work. So we've taken a look at this. It looks at two playgrounds in each of our 3 elementary schools. So it's a total of 6 playgrounds. We do have an estimate in place for each one of those, and there's an attachment there if you want to go in and look at them independently. Total amount's $962,982.50. A lot of money to ask for. It will bring us into compliance with ADA. It gives us a safety environment that we don't currently have. It removes all the chips, the wood chips that are there that make it impossible for a wheelchair to move through that area, things of that nature. So it's a good solution, and it brings some neat opportunities, we think, for our students as well. We've been working to make sure that we do this as quickly as we can to secure a price before there's another price increase. And we're able to do this at a time when Play School had some, Little Tykes, had some opportunities for grants available. So the items above surface are basically half price to us. So even though this is a high cost, we do think it's a good cost for our students. So it's my recommendation that you approve these estimates for construction of playgrounds at all three of our elementary schools.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Where made the motion? Ms. Davis?
No.
Did you second?
I'll second.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know which one went first. All right, we have a motion in a second. Do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, sir. This $962,982.50. That is paying for what, the equipment? And
Equipment and a poured-in-place surface.
Okay, and who's going to do the construction, or is that to be ascertained at a later date?
No, the provider of the quote will do that. They'll do the elimination of all the existing equipment. They'll remove all the wood chips. That it includes all of that project. So if we do this tonight, it's a turnkey operation.
In other words, that's the bottom dollar at the very end. That's,
As of
Thank you very
this
much.
very
And
moment,
paid for with
yes.
extra money.
thank you very much. That answered the question.
Pretty good deal. Have y'all had an opportunity to go and look at the color pictures of each school? Maybe, it's pretty awesome. Anybody else? All right, all in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. All board members were in favor. Item H is approved. Item I, Mr. Stoll.
Each year, the Kentucky Department of Education offers assistance to us through catch for technology funds. And part of that is we have to match those funds. I think we get 2 or 3 of these each year. So our finance folks plan for this and they build that into the budget. We've received our first offer of assistance. It's $21,160. I'm asking you all to accept that offer tonight, and then we will match that offer from money that we have in the budget already. So my recommendation is that you approve the acceptance of this first CATS offer of assistance.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hurd made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. The offer of assistance is approved. Item J, Mr. Stoll.
We have a food service dumpster that is in not good condition, not good repair. Have a picture there for you to see that it's a rust through. We checked with Brad to make sure it's nothing we can do to fix, and we cannot. So we're requesting tonight that you allow us to junk this dumpster. That's my recommendation to you.
Anybody against that?
I don't think we can do it that way.
Anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we jump the dumpster.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion to junk the dumpster.
All right, the dumpster is jumped. If everybody votes, let me see your hands. And all board members were in favor. Item K, Mr. Stoll.
So my recommendation on this one is that you give consideration to the request for this ammunition purchase for the active shooter training. If you feel like that there are questions that you don't have answered yet, we can certainly hold on to that. I think what Josh shared is a good opportunity for us. We just want to make sure that everything coordinates correctly for that. Let me pull up. There is the cost for this that you're being asked to foot here is $5,813.59. It includes, as he was sharing with you earlier, the rounds, the fixes to the helmet, the conversion kits, things of that nature. When I was high school principal, I always wanted to do something like this. I wanted to do it on a large scale because we felt like that's something that could occur. We hope that it never does. It would be nice to spend this money and never have to use the results of that. If you do that, Josh shared with you the piece about Boyle County. They did a very extensive one a few years ago. They advertised so that people knew what was going on, that they wouldn't be surprised by what was going on, had big signs up saying what was going on, and they actually had people come in and volunteer to be actors in the role. And so we can, whether we do this moment or not, we will coordinate and make this happen because we think it's a very beneficial thing. And the question that you asked Ms. Davis is an
Yeah.
important one too, which is how do we move it from one school to the other? Because there's an assumption that it happens at a high school, but there's no guarantee that it happens at a high school. We've had elementary experiences, middle school could be something, so we would not want to confine this. We want it to be a much larger thing. If you want to move forward tonight, you certainly can. If you have any questions that I can't answer, or if you want additional information from other first responding groups, because this is a coordinated effort, right? And Josh was representing one side tonight, but there could be others that you want to hear from, either way that you would like to go.
All right, then you're recommending that we,
I'm recommending you consider it. I'm not sure where we stand as far as if we have all of the information necessary to do it. I feel like there's a little bit more that we could use around this to make sure that it's a coordinated effort from all angles. Not at all saying not to do it, but maybe give you a little bit more information in December and make the recommendation to purchase it then, so that we're clear that everybody who Josh wants to be involved is going to be involved. The Ben Wilcox being here is great, but Ben Wilcox won't be here the day that the shooting occurs if something like that ever did happen. So we want to make sure that all of our folks are engaged in that. So
That's what my question, I didn't know quite how to frame the question. The very thought of something like this is really disturbing, but at the same time, I feel like it's critical that we do it. It needs to be done, and it's wonderful that he's taken on the initiative to bring it to our attention and offer to coordinate it. But I also think if there are organizations that specialize in this kind of training that can come on board and help the folks that he envisions being a part of it, that are trained in their professional act doing the simulated training, then those kinds of folks, we might want to get somebody like that involved as well. So just to give the support and the infrastructure there to make sure it's the best training that it can be. I mean, I know what that looks like in my industry, but I don't know what it looks like there.
So it's not uncommon for you all as a board to ask for additional information,
Yes.
right? There have been times that we've held on something before we did it to make sure that you had additional information. And while I think you got a good piece of information tonight for sure, I think we could probably give you a little bit more in December and have a little bit more certainty as to what all of this would look like. I would not suggest to you that in December we'll tell you the date, because I think, number one, we've got to ensure that they can get these rounds. One of the things that Josh had shared initially is that with the supply chain issues that everybody is aware of, there could be quite a bit of lead on this. So that we would have to work through. So I guess if I was really making a recommendation to you tonight, my recommendation would be that you allow us to gather a little bit more information and just hold on this before you make that decision.
I'd also like for you to include in that how the schools feel about that and how they would coordinate the ongoing decisions and preparations that they would need to be making. And how they, so I didn't know if you spoke with the schools about this yet. Have you spoken with the principals and how it is that they're scheduling? And I mean, I'm for this training. It's not anything, but I just, the daily life still has to go on. So I'd like to know how all this is going to coordinate.
Okay.
we've kind of got the cart before the horse, but that's all right in this situation, I think, but,
I don't really see this, the agenda item is just to purchase this, the ammunition. It's not to take action and approve a simulation to take place. But with the supply chain and everything and trying to
Well,
make sure that we had it,
that was gonna be my point.
we can buy the ammunition, but still, the date and additional information is up, because we're not actually approving the training and the active shooter date or anything. We're just buying $5,813.59 worth of ammunition that I don't think we can not do the training, because it would be horrific to pass up on the training and then have something happen. We all hope and pray that it never happens. But if you're not prepared for something, then you can always be second guessed and what if. death. And like I said, I don't think it's a question of questions not being answered and things like that on this particular vote. I think
So you
it's
can
just
make that
simply
motion.
time ammunition.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I would entertain a motion. If
So
you
what
all,
if we do something like this, we go and we approve the simulation purchase for active shooter training with, conditional information to be provided for us in December, about the questions that we're asking.
Well, I think with the supply chain being what it is, the goal would be to go ahead and approve the purchase of the simulated ammunition, I think is what the wording was.
ammunition,
But I think the goal is to go ahead and place that order and get that on the way, because we don't know how long it's gonna take to get it. And then between now and December, have them collect additional information that we need to actually implement the plan and do the training. But we need to go ahead and get the purchase on the way, in my opinion, so. Otherwise, you know, we may wait until December and then find out in December that we can't get this ammunition until next December, or who
That's
knows
true.
when, so.
so,
So I would make a motion that we move forward with the purchase of this ammunition as proposed.
okay, you
I'll
heard
second it.
Dr. Lamb made a motion, Mr. McCory seconded. We did get the cart before the horse. Does anybody have any other?
And if we do this, is there something that you can coordinate with the agencies to say, can you provide us some additional information in December?
So we'll ask Josh to give us the names of the people that he expects to be involved, and we'll ask them to give us their connections to this and what their plans would be.
Okay, we good? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor, so item K is approved. Item 6,
So if you don't care,
Oh,
if I
I'm
can
sorry.
add one other thing real quickly.
oh, please.
Just to kind of update you all on something, last week, we had talked about the possibility of voting on masks tonight, and there were requests for surveys. And because there were requests for surveys, we've pulled that to make sure that we have good data for you all to make your decisions. Your original plan was to look at this in December, so that's what we are now planning to do, is look at it in December, providing you all with the information that was requested. You all had requested information from staff, you requested information from the community. Tomorrow I'll release a survey to students as well. So we'll have information from high school, middle school, and probably 3rd through 5th at the elementary, just to get a sense from them. And what really drove me to that was something that happened with Mr. McQuarrie. He had indicated that he had had a conversation from some students that influenced his vote when we did this originally. And I started thinking we were gathering good information for you, but we probably left out another group. And so we're going to ask that group to contribute. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that we were going to that next level. And that way, if somebody's listening and was curious as to why we weren't doing this, your original thing was December. You're still going to meet your deadline in December for sure. And you're going to meet it with more information than we'd originally planned to give you. And at your request, we'll do that.
Okay, thanks, sir. And most of us probably got emails from people wanting to know why we weren't voting on that. And that's exactly what Mr. Stowe just shared, is what I've shared back with the folks that sent an email to me. And it is possible we could even have a special call meeting. That should happen, it would be even sooner, but that's what I shared with these folks. All right, item 6.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. McQuarrie made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And Dr. Lamb seconded. All in favor, uplift hands. 4 members were in favor. We are adjourned. Thank you all.